Hi there, my name is Greg Cullen and I'm the team leader of Car 22 in the Rhino Charge, and we're affectionately known by other teams as the Smiling Shenzies. In 2011, when I set out to enter the charge, having experienced the event as a runner for about 5 years, I wanted to give myself the best chance of being competitive from the outset. At the time, I wanted to build a capable charge car and a part-time rally raid car. We were doing rally raids throughout the season as well. And we had a very tight budget. So at the time, it ended up being part Range Rover, part Land Cruiser, Nissan, part custom. But a good car in the Rhino Charge is nothing without a good team. So I set about trying to craft a team of athletes, rugby players, long-distance runners and Olympians. Strong, fit, capable, passionate about conservation, knowledgeable about cars, handy with MacGyver repairs, computer whizzes, fundraising geniuses, you name it. Turns out what one wishes for on paper doesn't necessarily meet the mark in reality, unfortunately. Building a charge car is easier said than done, and many compromises unfortunately have to be made. Small and balanced machines that are maneuverable and stable when traversing the big slopes, or the big and powerful machines in the Rhino Charge that have good traction on hills, plow through thick bush, drive over boulders, holes and ditches, you name it. In the 8 years of competing, Car 22 has practically been rebuilt from the chassis up for every charge. These rebuilds are typically finished 1 week before the charge, and to the dismay of the team, sometimes on the night before, and occasionally the rebuilds haven't gone to plan and we have to beg and borrow for a spare capable machine from other teams in desperation in order to compete. We owe a massive thanks to Alan McKittrick and Richard Baudry, who have basically kept us going for the last 3 years in their machines, so a huge thank you, gentlemen. To give you an idea, we've run 3 types of axles, 2 gearboxes, 2 transfers, fully rebuilt the car I think 3 times now. New panels every time, new engine 3 times, new winches 4 times, new windscreens without fail every time. We can't seem to keep even one intact. And new tires, 3 radiator setups, but truthfully the devil is in the detail, and the smallest thing can lose you a podium finish at the end of a charge attempt. Brake line placement, fuel system geometry, lacking the right spare for that bush repair in the middle of nowhere, a poor weld, wire solder, insufficient radiator screening, or one worn out part that has been overlooked. But the best car isn't worth much without route planning the night before and decision making on the day. And certainly a little luck goes a very long way. A careful balance basically of being very aggressive, taking straight line routes, and an efficient use of time. Do you winch over a ridge and sacrifice 20 minutes, or sacrifice 200 meters and drive around? A usual typical charge day has dozens of decisions like this. We do the route planning as a team, juggling physical maps, Google Earth, bird's eye, terrain mapping, looking for any advantage, be it a goat track or a break in a cliff line, to just shave off a few meters from our route length. This requires the knowledge and experience which we're slowly gaining. We're only a young team, and it's no wonder that you actually see the top leaderboard often has very familiar teams that have been there for the last 10 years. A good route and a capable car wouldn't go very far without a handy team of runners. So as for the team, well, it turns out conservationists, safari guides, PhD students aren't really the best at raising funds, unfortunately. And finding space-efficient rugby players is clearly a challenge. Olympian sports personalities, well, they're very handy, but are not as expendable and can't be used to breaking point, unfortunately. Tired, dehydrated decisions taken on long runners can lead to some tricky situations at the end of the day. But between us, maybe our weaknesses are supported by other strengths, and the camaraderie is a big part of what makes the Rhino Charge so special. So let's introduce our team of smiling Shenzies for this year's Rhino Charge.
Hi, my name's Christina Cullen and I'm one of the Shenzies. My role is kind of to fit in, I guess. I do a lot of the sort of long running, the short running, but I'm not very good at some of the scientific stuff, so thankfully we've got some whiz kids that look after that for us. Then in the morning I wake up to an A, a B, a C, a D and an E plan, and actually we basically make the decision on the way to the first checkpoint.
Oh, hey. We've just found out where the charge is going to be this year, so we're just doing a bit of prep work. Yeah, looking through the map here on Google Earth to see if we can find any goat trails or anything, that we might be able to follow along. And we've got the 3D view here, so we can look at the slopes. But actually, I'm most excited about this. We're working on some algorithms here that'll help us see whether or not, with the horsepower that we have, the tires that we're going to be using, the soil substrate, whether or not we're actually going to be able to make it up the slope. So this is the geeky end, and although we prepare a little bit before the charge, it all comes down to the night before when we actually know where the charge is going to be. And we spend up till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, just trying to figure out exactly where we might be able to take our car and where we won't.
Hi guys, I'm Pete. I'm the youngest member of Car 22, and that's why I get called the Fresher. My first key role of the whole thing is to get digging the toilet for the rest of the team and collecting the firewood. Generally, any task that the older, wiser member of the team deems me fit for doing. It's not all in vain. A lot of these tools are useful on the day of the charge itself. This sort of tool to try and help us get in and out of erosion gullies and luggers, so we can use this to break down the edge, just creates better entry and exit angle and makes our life a lot easier. I mean, those aren't the only things I do on the charge. I'm also very involved with the planning, helping with all the algorithms and all the smart stuff we try to do the night before, and seeing whether we can go over stuff or not, or whether we'll have to go around it. Yeah, so that's basically my role, mainly the Fresher, but also a few bits here and there.
How's it going? My name's Guy. I'm part of the Smiling Shenzies. My job is generally to stay close to the car, make sure that when there's some kind of mechanical mishap, I'm usually the one under the car, sometimes causing the problem, not just fixing it. But most of my time on the day is spent helping Gray through tight sections, being his eyes and ears around the car and making sure that he doesn't screw up. It's generally a full-time job. When I'm not doing that, I'm supposedly meant to be moving boulders out the way. That's what I've been told I'm good for, and then about it.
Hi there, I'm Tony, the most youthfully challenged and feeble fundraising member of the Smiling Shenzies. Yet, owing to the pedigree of these legs, I serve as one of the team's long runners. I'm just out in a charge training run. No point in going for an evening run around the block. To better simulate the charge, you need to come out in the heat of the day, dive full speed through some of the thickest thorn scrub you can find, stumbling over rocks. It's a bit like a Tough Mudder, but with thorns and rocks instead of mud. And with the added bonus of watching some awesome 4x4 cars getting in and out of some incredibly technical situations. As a long runner, it's my job to cover the ground and get to difficult areas we've picked out on the planning the night before that might be worth risking large amounts of time to shave off big chunks of distance. And to look for possible crossings of deep waterways and ravines well ahead of the car, close to the ideal straight line, allowing the car to track to that point and not waste precious distance and time by being too close to the obstacle before looking for a good spot. It's an amazing experience to be out in these remote, wild, beautiful places for an excellent cause. The Rhino Charge is many things: a camping adventure, a team sports event complete with adversity, struggle and camaraderie, a conservation and social program fundraiser supporting the remote rural communities, as well as the larger goals of the Rhino Arc Watershed Protection Initiative, and arguably being the toughest and most unique 4x4 off-road challenge in the world. Hi there, welcome to the Wells Fargo workshop. We've got another borrowed car this year, no surprise. We've decided to go with a good friend of ours, Richard's car. He's allowed us to do some minor modifications, so let me show you what we're up to. This is a Range Rover classic chassis with a tubular design around it. We've actually cut off the chassis itself there and extended it up so we can get this 406 Unimog axles in. We're running the steering behind it. We want to use the actual axle as a bit of a bump stop. We're running a 3-link system on the the mocks, we were running on the Volvo's radial arm, so we were going to use these particular radial arms, cut them off at the bottom and use these as the lower lengths, but we decided we'd actually just go through with the full 3 length to get more articulation. Running a giggle pin winch, so all of those fans of Red Winch out there, just swap him on the car. We've got a beadlock rims that we've just tried on. They don't fit, they grab on the calipers, so that's not a good start. And then in here, a bit of a mess, nothing much to report there. Around the back, what we did was we flared out the sides this year, gave the runners a little bit more space and allowed the 40-inch wheels to come in on the new body. So, got plenty of room now. In the runners in the past, they've given me so much grief about not having room to sit, so now it's like a deluxe lounge, so no complaining.
That's now what we've got. So now
check
we're
it
in a
out.
better position, so I'm pretty happy.
In our efforts to beat all the competition, we might be overcomplicating things a little. The reality is that a handy car and a willing team can come to the charge and have a fantastic experience for a great and important cause. We've received a lot of help over the years from the experienced teams whenever we've asked for it, and I would encourage all new entrants, especially those from overseas, to do the same. The Rhino Charge competitors are an interesting breed, fiercely competitive and yet always looking to help out others, which goes with the spirit of the event. If you're thinking of entering, waste no more time. Get in touch with the organisers and the competitors such as ourselves, and we'll see you on the start line in the next event.